Hello friends. In our previous session on international capital flows and investment, we have seen that most of the international investment, specifically foreign direct investment, are undertaken by the multinational corporation, the MNCs. Over the years, the MNCs have become one of the most important private international economic organizations. So today, we are going to explore the nature of MNCs, the reason for the existence of MNCs, the effects of MNCs on both home and host countries, and the issue with respect to transfer pricing associated with the MNCs. Welcome to the video. One of the most significant international economic development of the post-Second War period in the world is the proliferation of multinational corporation or multinational companies. These are the firms that own, control or manage production facilities in a number of countries. That is, they operate in many countries at different levels of economic development, even though they may be headquarters in one developed country. They are also known as the multinational enterprise, the transnational corporation, the global corporation, and the international corporation. Now let us examine few definitions of multinational corporation or companies. Leonard Gomes has defined multinational corporation as those corporations that controls production facilities in more than one country. Such facilities have been acquired through the process of foreign direct investment. At the same time, the 1973 report of International Labour Organization (ILO) has come out with one of the important feature of multinational corporation, that is, the essential nature of a multinational enterprise lies in the fact that its managerial headquarters are located in one country while the enterprise carries out operation in a number of countries as well. That is, there will be a home country where its headquarters lies and a number of host countries where the multinational corporation or companies carries out their business activities or operation. Now, from this definition, we can easily trace out the important features of the multinational corporation. As we already said, the managerial headquarters is in the home country and they carry out their business operation in a number of other countries. We call it as a host country. Or host countries. Predominantly, MNCs are large sized with a great degree of economic dominance. Obviously, either they are oligopolistic or monopolistic in nature. They resort to modern technology, managerial skill, product differentiation, and enormous advertisement expenses. Now, let us examine what are the reasons for the existence of the multinational corporations. The basic reason for the existence of MNCs is their acquisition of competitive advantage in the global network of production and distribution. Now, how this competitive advantage accrues to the multinational corporation and how they come up with their competitive advantage. We can find out certain reasons. We can list these following reasons. And the first reason is the vertical integration with its foreign affiliates. Through vertical integration, most of the MNCs ensure an uninterrupted supply of foreign raw materials and the intermediate products so as to avoid any imperfections which is often found in the foreign market. They can also provide a better distribution as well as a service networking system. So that is the vertical integration through which the MNCs acquire its competitive advantage. By horizontal integration and through its foreign affiliates, MNCs can easily exploit its monopoly power and adapt their products to suit the local condition, to suit the taste and preferences of those countries where it is having its business. At the same time, they can also ensure better quality product as well. That is as far as the horizontal integration is concerned. Being a large size firm, by producing larger quantity, it can reap the benefit of economies of scale in production and can also resort to a greater marketing skills. So the competitive advantages of MNCs can also be based on higher production as well as gathering a better marketing system. MNCs and their affiliates usually have greater access, at the same time a better terms to international capital market, and this basically provide MNCs in a better position as far as financing is concerned, and financing the large products is concerned with respect to a purely nationally based firm. So they have greater access to international capital market, as well as they can finance their activities with a better terms. Now, the fifth one is there is better availability of research and development. MNCs usually concentrate more on its research and development activity and do have greater availability of technical personnel as well as facilities for research and development. With its sheer size, most of the MNCs are in a better position or a stronger position to influence the policies of the local governments. Further, finally, MNCs can buy up or can acquire the promising local firms to avoid any kind of future competition and to avoid any threat of future competition, and thus restrict the competition and through international trade. So through greater product diversification and lower resistance, obviously MNCs generally earned higher amount of profit compared to a purely national firm. So these are the reasons for the existence of MNCs, and these are the factors that help the MNCs to acquire a competitive advantage in the global network of production and distribution. Now let us shift our focus to the case for MNCs, or what are the arguments leveled in favor of the multinational corporations. It is generally argued that through MNCs, through their efficiently organizing their production and distribution worldwide, production can increase, there will be an increase in world output and welfare, and they can also create serious problem to some countries. So we will be essentially focusing on, at least at the onset, we'll be focusing on what are the case in favor of multinational companies. The first argument is that MNCs are primarily the vehicle for foreign direct investment, and they can create a large inflow of capital to especially developing countries. So these large capital flow to a developing country increases investment, income and employment in the host country. So basically MNCs can fill the resource gap that restrict a developing country for attaining faster economic progress or economic growth. And the second case is they can transfer superior technology and marketing skills because they do have the access to a better technology as well as the marketing skills to developing countries. They can promote professionalization of management, and they can also promote or increase the export of the host country because the production capability will be located in the host country, and they can increase the export. By increasing export, it can also improve the balance of payment of host country. And basically through two ways. One, as a result of capital inflow when MNCs undertake foreign direct investment in the host country, as well as when they export their products from the host country. So through both these ways, MNCs can improve the balance of payment of host countries, most often the case of developing countries. And MNCs are the channels that integrate national with international market to many countries of the world. So these are the basically leveled as arguments in favor of multinational corporations or arguments in support of multinational corporation. And we can basically argue that perhaps the strongest reason or strongest argument in favor of MNC is that they can bring capital. They can fill the resource gap that has been acting as a hindrance for the development of the present day developing countries. Now we can shift our focus to some of the case against the MNCs. Even though it is argued that MNCs will increase the world output as well as welfare, they can also create certain problems to both home country as well as the host countries. So we can explain the case against the multinational corporations or arguments against the multinational corporation from a home country perspective as well as from a host country perspective, because most of the literature focus on the host country perspective. That's why today we'll be focusing on both home country perspective as well as the host country perspective, and we will start from the home country perspective. What are the possible problems created by the multinational companies or corporation in a home country? Home country is their parent country where their headquarters lies. Perhaps one of the controversial and alleged harmful effect of multinational corporation on the home country is that there will be loss of domestic jobs. Why? Because there is a outflow of foreign direct investment. Because MNCs search for unskilled and semi-skilled jobs outside the home country, and when there is such a kind of massive outflow of foreign direct investment, it might lead to a reduction in the job in the home country. That's why many times we also call it as there will be an export of domestic jobs, in the sense that MNCs in search for less paid, unskilled and semi-skilled jobs outside the home country. Obviously, home country will not have a comparative advantage as far as these categories concerned. There will be a loss of domestic jobs in the parent country on the home country as a result of the operation of multinational companies. A related problem is with respect to the technology. That is, the export of advanced technology to be combined with the cheaper foreign factors with the objective of maximization of the profit of MNCs. It is argued that it might undermine the technological superiority of the home country. So it might lead to a reduction or an erosion of home country's technological advantage, because its technology is going out and it is combined with the other lesser costly factors in the foreign country, or what we call the host countries. The third aspect is related to the tax collection. Maybe one of the harmful effects of multinational corporation in the home country is that it can lead to a shifting of their operation to those countries where the tax rates are low. And as a result, with their activity of what is known as the transfer pricing, we will examine what is the meaning of transfer pricing a bit later. It reduces the tax revenue and erodes the tax base of the country as a result of the transfer pricing. We will examine transfer pricing a bit later. And the fourth aspect is that it reduces the government control over the domestic economy, in the sense that because of their greater access to international capital market, MNCs can bypass most of the domestic monetary policies and make the government control over the economy in a home country a bit more difficult. So that is as far as the effects of or the argument against MNC from a home country perspective. Now let us shift our focus to the host country, where most of the literature focus on the host country issues as far as multinational corporations are concerned, or where the MNCs undertake their business activity, where MNCs undertake their foreign direct investment. Now, the first argument is that the technology which is being supplied by the multinational corporations, or the technology which is brought by the multinational corporation, are so aimed at profit maximization and may not meet the development needs of the less developed countries. They will be highly capital oriented or capital intensive technological process, and also with most of the developing countries and less developed countries are labor abundant countries, the technology which has been brought by the MNCs may not be suitable for the less developed country. Further, It keeps the host country a technologically dependent country, and these capital intensive production techniques may be inappropriate for the labor abundant developing countries. Maybe the first serious attack as far as the multinational corporation in a developing country is concerned. The second issue is that, as we have already examined, they can undermine the national economic autonomy because they can dominate the economies of developing countries with its sheer size, large size. They can influence politics, they can create pressure group, and can undermine national economic autonomy. The MNCs may also have an unfavorable effects on the balance of payment because they might lead to a lot of imports, and which ultimately unfavorably affects the balance of payment of the developing countries. The tax avoidance, we have already said, it is as a result of the transfer pricing policies of the MNCs, and which shift their profit from those countries having higher tax burden to those countries having lesser tax burden. So they might lead to tax avoidance, and MNCs usually leads to a concentration of economic power because they will always try to purchase or acquire those firms and will try to eliminate competition. So it destroys competition and they acquire the monopoly power. The sixth aspect is that it retards the employment opportunities due to a number of reasons. Maybe the first reason is that most of the technology which was brought by or which are brought by the MNCs are capital intensive production techniques, inappropriate for those developing countries having abundant labor supply. Further, MNCs may absorb the local savings and the entrepreneurial talent in the developing countries, can eliminate the small scale firms and those domestic enterprises which are more important or which are more labor absorbing as far as a developing country is concerned. And the seventh and last argument is that MNCs might lead to depletion of non-renewable natural resources in the host country because there will be over-exploitation of natural resources, and it is argued that they create a dualistic enclave economies as far as developing countries are concerned. So these are the arguments against MNC from a host country's perspective. Our last topic is related to one of the demerit or one of the case against the MNCs is that they might resort to what is known as the transfer pricing. Now, what is transfer pricing? Transfer pricing is an activity of MNC for tax avoidance. That means they want to reduce their tax burden. For reducing their tax burden, they resort to an activity called transfer pricing. And transfer pricing arises in intra-firm trade. That is, trade among a parent firm and its foreign affiliates of the MNC. Transfer pricing refers to the prices of goods and services that are exchanged between the affiliates of the same MNC, that is, between commonly controlled legal entities within an enterprise like an MNC. So, when there is a transfer of commodities and services among the affiliates of MNC, it is known, the prices charged is known as the transfer pricing. And MNCs use the transfer pricing as a method of allocating profit among various subsidiaries of MNC. Transfer pricing offers many advantages. As we have already said, the most important advantage is from a taxation perspective. It takes the advantage of different tax regime in different countries, and it tried to allocate, MNC tried to book more profits for goods and services produced in countries with lower amount of tax rates. That artificially, by following the transfer pricing policy, MNCs will arrive at a profit where profit is recorded the lowest in the high tax country and highest in the low tax country. Now, how this transfer pricing takes place? MNCs artificially overprice components shipped to the affiliates in the high tax country and underprice products shipped from the affiliates in the high tax country so as to minimize its tax bill. That is, if the country is having higher tax rate, they make sure that the import cost is much higher and the export earnings are much lower. Obviously, the profit will be much smaller, so tax burden also will be much smaller. So it's an artificially kind of pricing. So that's why when we discussed the arguments against MNCs in both home country as well as host country perspective, we saw that they resort to transfer pricing to avoid taxes. So artificially, it's some kind of an artificial activity in which they try to put high prices for their import, low prices for their export in those countries which is with the increasing forces of liberalization and globalization. Multinational cooperation will surely be an invaluable force in the future as well. Hope that this video is useful to you. You can always visit our blog www.skpeco.blogspot.in for additional learning resources. Until we meet next time, stay safe, happy learning. Thank you.